Hey, Jen, Mex, I am excited to be here with you live, having a happy hour here on a Wednesday night if you're with us live. Otherwise, if you're watching this later on, you can, of course, join in the happy hour too. But today we're going to be talking about banking. So I have my banking expert with me, who is Bernardo Gonzalez from Actinver Bank. And he's going to be talking, specifically when Bernardo and I were chatting, I mentioned that there was a bank that failed recently in Mexico. And so what does it look like when a bank fails, and what happens? Because in the United States, there's the FDIC, and I've never had to experience it myself, but you don't hear about it very often. But it seems like everything moves pretty smoothly in the United States when a bank does fail, because there were a whole bunch of bank failures a number of years back. But that's going to be our main topic today. We're also going to be answering any questions you guys have about banking in Mexico. So let's get started. Actually, Bernardo, maybe you could introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and who is Actinver Bank.
Yes, of course. I'm Bernardo Gonzalez. I'm the manager of Actinver Bank in Los Cabos and also in charge of the expat banking in Actinver. Actinver is a Mexican financial group, mainly an investment bank, which is all throughout Mexico. And we're focused on advising entrepreneurs and companies and individuals in Mexico, mostly focused on private banking and investment banking as well.
Okay, great. So we've got some folks coming in already. So what I like to do is get people involved right away. So if you're ready to go into the comments section, I would love to know where you're calling in from or where you're watching from. So we've already got some folks who are used to this part of the show. So we've got someone here from Tijuana, which I think you guys have a branch in Tijuana. Is that correct? Actinver
Yes,
branch?
we do. Yes.
Let's see here. So someone else coming in from New Mexico, folks saying hi from sunny Southern California. And let's see here. So we've got someone here saying, thanks for covering this topic. Chasing the American Dream. I just saw that pop up, but where did it disappear to? Those guys, I believe, where did it go? Hey, how's it going, guys? Those guys are in kind of the Chapala-ish area. Cindy here, hola. And we actually have a comment that showed up earlier, and I'm going to pop it up here right away, just because I think it's a funny comment. So you all can comment before the video goes live if you didn't know that. So if you're here, continue adding in where you're calling in from. But I thought this was great. Typical alarmist clickbait title story that is not adding anything to credibility. All one has to do is call their bank. Everyone knows how to call their bank. So yeah, I saw this and I thought, well, this is probably someone who speaks no Spanish, and most banks in Mexico speak Spanish. That is the language of the country we're in. That's what we're talking about here. And so even if you do have someone who speaks English, well, Bernardo, maybe you could get right into what happens when a bank fails. I'm guessing their phone stops being answered. One of the things that happens. So what happens when a bank fails in Mexico?
Yeah, well, it's probably, you're right. I mean, maybe that's the first thing that happens, that they're not really taking care of what's going on outside, but they're taking care of what's going on inside the bank. Yeah. So in Mexico, when it comes to insurance, you have two different insurances. One that is the IPAP, it will be the equivalent to the FDIC. That is the guarantee of the Mexican government against deposits or cash or CDs in this case. And it covers up to 3.4 million pesos. That will account for around $170,000 at this point, because it is measured in UDIs. We will not go into UDIs, but UDIs is like a unit of investment that varies with inflation in Mexico. So it covers you up to 400,000 UDIs, which right now are 3.4 million pesos. Yeah. So that's kind of the insurance that the Mexican government has on every account holder in every bank. Okay. So the second one is, if you are not holding cash and you're holding investments, we have also what is equivalent to the depository trust company in the US. Here is called Indeval, and there is where all your investments or assets are deposited at your name in Mexico. So it's like a trust depository outside the bank. What does this mean? This means when you hold investment in Mexico, your investments are not part of the balance sheet of the bank. They're they're custodied by a third party and regulated third party at your name. Yeah. So on one side is, why is it so big when a Mexican bank fails? Because not more than 6% of Mexicans invest their money, and normally the money is in cash. So it's big trouble. So if you have more than 3.4 million pesos in cash, then I mean, it's a bigger danger. Nobody should have 3.4 million pesos in cash in Mexico, because rates are up to the roof right now and you're making a lot of money. But it happens, and we are in a country where financial education is very low, and investment was only for the very rich back in the years. So Mexico is still learning how to make the money work for them. So that's kind of why it is so big. So okay, so we have this insurance, but how do you what is the procedure to make it happen? Yeah. So first of all is, when you open an account in Mexico, you receive your contract where your name and your information is put up there. Okay. So normally any Mexican bank should give you a contract in Spanish, because that's the regulation in Mexico. We cannot have a contract signed in another language, so it needs to be signed in Spanish. So what do you need to take care of in that contract is that your personal information is correct. Your name, age, birth date, address, social security number, or RFC, which is a Mexican tax ID, whatever sensible information and information that identifies you as an account holder needs to be right. Okay, so that's kind of the first step that we always need to take care. And the second one is, you will always be asked for a bank statement to reclaim your money. Yeah. So whether if you go to the IPAP or if you go to the Indeval, which I'll dive into it in a little bit in a few minutes, you need to prove that you are the holder of something, or some assets, or some money, or some cash. Okay. For sure, you can go and say, this is my name, this is my number, please help, please help me out. Something will happen, they will find something at some point. But when you come to Mexico, you need to also start your Mexican file. Okay. And that comes to different things, like your marriage certificate. You've been asked if you change your last name because you got married, then you need to do an apostille, marriage certificate, and have a lawyer give faith that this happened. So Mexico is very square on that side. Like if we talk about signatures all the time. You need to make the same signature as it is in your passport. If not, it will not pass. Nobody will open an account. You cannot buy a home if you don't do the same signature. So these are like small things that are very different in Mexico in other countries. So it's not flexible on that side. And that's why Mexico invites you to keep a record of what you're doing, physical, and also have an electronic file where you keep your bank statements monthly, where you keep whatever paperwork. I mean, if let's say you buy a home, you have your escritura, right? So you have a bunch of papers. Well, you can also scan that, have it in your file, and so you can have physical and electronic. What happens if your house gets burned or flooded or something? So you need to, the advice is always to have both files, digital and physical.
Okay, well, this is something that when Bernardo and I were talking a couple of weeks ago about this video, I was like, oh boy, I am not good at record keeping. So I'm going to continue that thought, but I want to recognize people who have joined us here. So let's see here. We've got someone from Australia. We've got Ted from Phoenix. We've got some folks from Canada, from Atlanta, Georgia, the ATL. I used to live there myself. From the Yosemite National Park area, also Michigan, and Brittany and Joe from Chasing the American Dream are getting a shout out from Cindy. So I love how small of a world it is here. So Arizona, so Sean from Morelia.
Nice. Blaxican Michoacano. Nice name, man.
Yes, exactly. I love it. So, and he speaks Spanish. It's Mexico. Yes, that is great. So, as we've got Valerie from La Paz, there we go. Someone from just down the street from me, probably. As we go and we continue this conversation, I want you to continue letting us know where you are. But also, we are going to be talking. We're going to be answering all your questions. So in the comments section, I want you to put any question you should have about banking, because then we can answer that question. We'll go to as many questions as we can. Also, I like to build this as a happy hour. And because it's 6 o'clock, it's happy hour time here in La Paz. And I always encourage folks to bring a drink, alcoholic or not. I also like to ask our guest what they're drinking, but what I am drinking right now, I want to get to this part quickly because I am drinking a tequila sunrise and it's beautiful, but I can't drink it until I start to stir it up with my stir here. I put a stir stick on this. Well, I've got a nice, really cute little stir stick, by the way. But I couldn't drink it until I showed you guys this. So now I can stir it and drink it. But I do like to ask, and I'm going to have you guys put in the comment section what you guys are drinking if you're joining in the happy hour. But Bernardo, maybe you could take a break from being a banker and let us know what's in your glass tonight.
Well, tonight I'm drinking a Cuba, which Cuba is a rum with Coke and mineral water, but only with mineral water. I like it to keep it plain today.
Okay, very good. So mineral water and rum. I like it. There we go. Perfect. So let's see here. I'm going to continue here with some comments that have already come in here. Lived in Mexico for years. You must have the exact same signature on all your documents. Definitely. That is something that is so specific. You have to practice your signature when you're about to sign it. So we've got someone here, Nemo from Florida, from Texas, working and lurking. So I assume she's multitasking. Oh wait, we need to. I need to make sure I'm paying attention here to the comments. Sorry, my mouse. I got a new mouse, and it goes the opposite direction when I scroll. So Marguerite drinking a smoothie. Lupita is drinking some water, good old water. Retired Life in Mexico, Retired Life Mexico. These guys are great. Another channel here calling in from Puerto Vallarta. Ooh, and Todd is drinking some barrel-aged bourbon. I'm going to continue down this list in a little bit. But, watching here with a cappuccino because it's midday Thursday where he's at. So cool. So I want to talk about those records because as you mentioned, I'm working on a video, not as you mentioned, but I'm working on a video about death in Mexico. And one of the things I've learned over the last 2 years doing research for this video, it's actually going to be a series, is the importance of documentation. And one of the documents is your marriage license. It's very, very important here in Baja California Sur. In other states, it's less important, but it has to be apostilled. And what that means is that the state of wherever that marriage license was issued, so in our case, it was Florida, has to essentially stamp it again to say that it was the clerk of courts that signed our marriage document is legitimate. So then that becomes acceptable internationally. So having documents apostilled, if they're coming from another country, is a necessity. And maybe not for banking. You don't need your birth certificate for banking. But for other things, it's really good to have your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, things like that.
For example, if you ask for a loan in a Mexican bank, you need to prove that you're married with separate, with the separate assets or together assets with your spouse. So you need to prove that with an apostilled certificate. Or let's say it's an American company that wants to open a bank account in Mexico. We need the apostilled, also the apostilled constitutive act and everything. Someone to give faith that it's true what is being presented.
Yeah, and that costs about $10 or $20 to get these documents done, and it can take up to a month to get it back. So it's definitely something you want to do in advance. There are services I think that will maybe make this work faster. They're usually a few $100s. I didn't really look into that. I did mine just the cheap and slow way this summer. But I want to talk a little bit more about those bank records because I don't keep my bank statements. I don't even look at my bank statements. And this is something in the United States for my business. I have a bookkeeper who looks over my bank statements and she does all the reconciling and stuff like that. But for here, I just I see that there's money in it in my account. I use the app from Banorte where I do most of my local banking. And it just kind of works. So maybe convince me that I should be downloading statements.
Well, it's maybe because, for example, I am a taxpayer in Mexico, and I need every year, I mean, I have my records and I have my tax on the in the SAT side, and they say what I can deduct and what not. So I need to make sure that the information that is up in the SAT webpage is correct, and for that I need to match with my statements. So I mean, for the past 3 years, I have had some proposals from my tax deduction, or how do you say, when you get some taxes back, when you get money back from the government,
rebate.
the rebate. So I had to, now give all my statements and do all this. So now I have the discipline to have all. I just download my statement, I put in a file in my computer, and I just save it there. But I have everything in place. But also I'm a banker, right? So I'm a little bit more disciplined. But it is a suggestion that you have your Mexican bank statements every month, download it from your app, or have it sent from your advisor, put it in your file, and have it in your computer. And it's something that you might never need to use. But let's say I don't know, you go and you want to buy a car in Mexico and you need a proof of income, then you have the statements, download them, give them there. It's very fast, because that's something that you have in hand, or you can have it in your drive, in your phone, whatever you like, some with a password, but it's something that you need to keep your record. Let's say you have the escritura from your lot that you bought, I don't know, something you're building, you have the escritura from your lot, also digitalize it, have it in your phone, have it in your drive, have a backup of all your documentation in Mexico, not just the physical, but also make a backup of that. I have it in by hand, For example, I am a father of family. We're a 6 people family. So I have all birth certificates, copy of passports, all the paperwork, even when I pay the school, description from the school for my kids. So I have everything in record. It has happened to me that say, hey, sir, you haven't paid description from this school. I say, yes, I had. This is a statement, no big deal. So in Mexico, you learn sometimes not to trust, and you need to make sure you have everything you need. So it's kind of it's like a resilience culture. So you need to take care of yourself, and this is kind of how you take care of yourself in these type of situations. Yeah.
That's great. And I know, as I was told this when I first moved here, they said, every time you go and you pay your electric bill, you keep that receipt. Every time you pay your water bill, you keep that receipt, because sometimes, as you said, they lose track, and you need something to prove that you've actually paid. So, and I haven't been really very good at that. I know I try to take a screenshot or something when I pay online, but
power and electric, just keep 3 months. That's it. I mean, it shouldn't go further than 3 months, because if not, you will get the service cut before that. So 3 months is okay. Yeah. But I mean, more important documents, like bank accounts, your certificates, your resident visa, or your permanent visa, make a copy of it. I don't know. It's like when you travel, you have a copy of your passport, you leave your passport in the safe in the hotel, you go outside with the paper, you don't go with your actual passport. So that's kind of taking care of your things in a different environment. Now that we had this issue with the banks, I mean, all customers were, this is what's going on, this how much I'm insured, this, because a lot of people have accounts in different banks, not just in one. I mean, there are expats that have accounts in different banks. So just pull out normally, or most of banks send you your statement through email. So make sure you have the password to open them. Make sure you have the root, you have everything to download them, but preferably download them and have them in your file in your computer, or in your drive.
Okay. So so I'm going to get on top of that. I'm going to work on that. I'm actually meeting with my accountant. So for my business, I do keep track of everything, because I do pay taxes from my business standpoint, but not personally, because we're less than 6-month residents in Mexico. So we pay our taxes up in the United States. But my business does have an accountant, and she does keep track of things, and I do need to send her everything every month. So I'm actually meeting with her on Friday. So I'll be chatting with her. Maybe she can handle some of my bookkeeping stuff here. So on my personal side, but let's get back to banking. And I do want to hear more. So if you have a CD or a bank account, you've got $180,000, $190,000 is protected by the Mexican government, and you will have to prove to them what you have by using a bank statement, a recent bank statement. So maybe, I don't know if you can tell us a little bit about how does that work? It's probably not something that's going to happen to anyone. But just give me that like really, really basic, like, do you go knock on the door of the bank, or is there a government agency that you call, or what do you do?
The IPAB is from Mexican government. You look for the I mean, you put like not like a claim, but you make a number. You put the story. You know, this is it. They get back to you. Once they get back to you, then they ask you what they need from you. They will need your ID, your social security number, and bank statement. Normally, yeah, that's kind of the 3-4 things that you will need at the beginning. You will send that. They will make sure it's you by a phone call, making some security call, some information, and then the file will start, and it will take for some time to happen. You know, it might take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, but that's the insurance that is in place for every cash account in Mexico. So you can have different accounts in different banks, but one person is only insured for that amount in every bank. Okay, so because some people say, well, what if I have 5 bank accounts in the same bank? No, it's per person. Okay, so you need to work your way through that, and it's up to 3.4 million pesos what is insured in cash and own bank assets. Let's say you invest in the same bank or a CD from the bank, that's what is insured from the IPAB. Okay, so we had several calls when this happened. You know, Bernardo, I just want to leave what is insured by the IPAB because people read. It's not the only thing that is insured. Also, when your money is invested or you own an investment fund, a stock, a bond, whatever is publicly traded, that is deposited into a depository trust company in Mexico that here is called Indeval, and it's also part of the regulatory system of Mexico. And normally, if you own an investment account or you own any assets, this Indeval will have these assets registered at your name. Yeah. So let's put it in a different way. Let's say you have 10,000 gold coins and you don't want to have them in your house, and you want someone else to be the depository of these coins. You go to the Indeval as a person, say, I want to register these as my values, but I want you to hold them for me. The Indeval will charge you a fee, but they will hold that for you, and that is safe in a safer place than your house. So that's kind of making an analogy of someone else taking care of your assets and also taking care of the assets that are invested in a Mexican market.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that was one of the things also, you mentioned the gold, which is something that we also talked about, just because I have a little tiny bit of gold. And in about a month or so, we're going to have Bernardo back on the channel for another one of these happy hours. And we're going to be talking about diversification. So because Kat and I are looking at diversifying our money out of the United States so that we have money in Mexico and also some gold. And so we'll be going to talk specifically about diversification in another webinar just like this in 1 month. So come back in December for that. I'm going to go back into the comment section really quick here and just look at what we've got here. So Sean is drinking a Victoria beer in Morelia. We've got folks from Kennewa and Kelowna. But you won't have, yeah, that's true. I mean, up in Canada and the United States, things are more electronic, I think, than they are in Mexico in some ways. And things are just kind of maybe set up in a different way that it's always available information. Cindy's saying hello. So Puerto Vallarta. Okay, so Sean's been around different places here. Let me pop this one up here. So living in California, also temporary resident of Mexico. I use Charles Schwab, considering a Mexican bank, but I haven't had any problems so far. What advantage of having a local bank? So here's a good question. Let's dig in. So why, Charles Schwab is a great option because you can use their ATM card to get money in Mexico, and they will refund the fees. So you can go to anyone's ATM, and what I recommend is that you decline the bank's conversion rate and accept Charles Schwab's conversion rate instead, and they will refund the fees, whatever fees that ATM charges. But why would one want to have a local bank? And this is just so you guys know, my banking is I have Banorte, which is a very large national bank with ATMs all over Mexico. and that is kind of my day-to-day bank that I use. And I also use a credit card for purchases. So if I've got bigger purchases, I just use a credit card from the United States, and I make sure that they charge it in pesos, and then my credit card does the translation into dollars. And there are no international transaction fees on that credit card. Then I have the bank that I use to just get cash out and to do transfers. So for instance, we just bought flowers for someone, and the florist was like, okay, transfer the money to the bank. This is really common. I plan on doing a video about this, is that bank transfers are really common in Mexico, and they don't really exist in the United States. People are just like, boom, someone hands you their credit card number. That is just a legitimate way to do a bank transfer in Mexico. Anyway, video coming on that. And then I bank with Actinver, which is where my investments are. So, and Actinver does have retail banking too, but I just kind of got that set up that way. But there was a reason I was saying that, and we're going back to this, is what are the advantages of having a local bank in Mexico? Bernard, well, after all of that, back to where we were.
Yes, well, you at the end, you're in a different country with different rules, right? So something that you're used to might work most of the time, but at some point you can have problems. Somebody could not accept a U.S. card. Let's say maybe in Cabo, everyone accepts a U.S. card, but if you go to Guerrero, Oaxaca, someplace else, your U.S. credit card might not get accepted. Then you would like to have better exchange rates, as Brighton was telling right now. So you also want to have a portfolio in Mexico that is right now, I mean, in fixed income, we're making from 7 to 10%, which is still very high. Plus, if you take in account that the peso has made around 16% against the US dollar in the past year, so people had made a lot of money over here. So at the end, you will need, let's say you want to pay your power bill, right? I mean, sometimes you can pay with a credit card, but sometimes the site doesn't work and you cannot pay online. You need to go through, make a deposit. Or let's say you want to pay a carpenter, you want to pay a painter, you want to pay for the nails, you want to have a haircut, you don't have cash. I mean, there's different ways that you can just make a transfer in the app right away, and make a payment in Mexico. So you want to have both worlds, and we want to have the transactional side of banking, and you want to have the investment side of banking, which is what we do best here in Actinver as well. So it is a matter of also diversification that I know we're going to do another video. But once people find out what is available down here and how you can invest and how you can make money, people is very convinced, and they're very happy to also have a banker that I will call more as a professional and financial friend in Mexico that also guide you through all this kind of stuff. And it kind of also takes care of you. I mean, I receive consulting of whatever, buying a property, buying a car, this is happening, this. And at the end, we're like the pivot of many things happening in Mexico, and you can have access to that just with a bank account,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And also I want to mention that I have heard of banks in the United States. I don't know if Charles Schwab does this, but I've heard of other financial institutions, when they understand that you are living overseas, they close your account. So it's it's a risk that exists if you are living full-time in Mexico, that the bank will somehow learn that, and boom, all of a sudden you just get a letter in the mail and your account is closed and here's your check. So let's go through some more comments here as we go just down the line. If you don't have any movement in your bank account for a couple of years, it will be locked. More than 5 years and you lose your money. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that if someone's got an inactive bank account.
Well, that might have happened in a commercial bank or something different. It doesn't happen on this side. What happens, yes, it can be blocked because you've been requested to update your information through an email or through a call. So the bank says, I have notified you that I need to redocument your contract, because that's being done in Mexico every 2 or 3 years by regulation. So we need to, again, pull up all your information, your address, as I tell this, it's a big documentation culture in Mexico. So we need to make sure that your status is the same, or how it has changed, or if you have to change address, right? So yes, the bank can block the account, but you can just unblock it by making a call. I'm here, this is what happened, this is my ID, this is what's going on. I haven't answered in the last 2 years because I don't know, but there's the other case. I mean, banks charge, like, I don't know, let's say 1,000 pesos a year for the management fee. And if you had 5,000 pesos and it's been 5 years, or 6 years you've not been there, then you might owe the bank 1,000 pesos because you left the account with 5,000. 6 years went by and you were charged 1,000 a year. I mean, several factors that happen, but mostly when an account is blocked, not closed, but is blocked, is because the bank has lack of information and cannot prove the legal commercial relationship. Yes.
Okay, so let me go in and pull up this question. I'm not sure, Sean, maybe you can get some information, additional information. Had my CURP first and then registered with SAT after purchasing a lot. Now I was advised that I need to renew my permanent residency and SAT in January. So I'm not sure, Bernardo, if you understand the question, but I'm not sure I understand the question, because I don't think you need to renew your permanent residency ever. So maybe you're talking about changing from temporary to permanent. So I'm just going to let you know, just please post another comment. Valerie's drinking white wine, by the way. So here we go. Here's a question about Actinver statements being in English. So your statements, I know the app is mostly in English, but there are some points where it switches over to Spanish. So yeah, maybe you can tell us about Actinver and English versus Spanish.
Yes, after the banks issue in Mexico, there was a lot of regulation. The software was changed, or there was a new app being released. And Actinver hasn't put up the complete English version yet. We're working on that. It should be ready by January already, but we have partial parts in English, partial parts in Spanish. A bank statement, normally you will not get a bank statement in English from a Mexican bank because by regulation, the bank needs to give you the statement in Spanish. So if there is a mistake in the translation or something, I don't think a Mexican bank is gonna run that risk, you know? I would love to have the information in English because my customer asked for it, but at the end, Mexican banks, you know, they focus on regulation first and second and third. And that's why because they say, you know, if I do a translation and I change something in my statement and I don't change it in English, I might get into trouble, you know? So that is not happening yet. I hope we could make that happen because it's a big need, but we're not there yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Bernardo. So here we've got an Actinver customer from the Cancun branch. So thank you, Chris. And we have, so Sean is mentioning it'll be a digital process like my Real ID in the United States. So yeah, so things are changing with the RFC, that it is a digital RFC now. I don't quite understand it myself. I know that I have the e-file or whatever. E-firma, that my accountant made me go and do that. So that helps. So it's an electronic, they've got my fingerprints and whatnot. I don't know if you could tell us anything about that, that change that SAT is making.
Yeah, Mexico is always, I mean, it's really behind on the documentation, everything. I mean, this might give you like a whole picture to say 54% of Mexican economy is informal economy, meaning that don't pay taxes, is not registered. So Mexico in the last year has been making a really big effort. It has also pulled a lot of taxes in the past 6 years, a lot more than it was before. So I think the efforts are doing well. Not that I like to pay more taxes, but at the end, something good is happening in tax collection. You know, the government is getting more tax. A lot of people was evading taxes before. So what I see right now is the Mexican government using more technology every time. You know, right now to get into the tax system, you need an electronic signature, which is a file that you get in a USB or in a drive when you go to the SAT. And then you need to type your password. Then you need to upload one file and then upload the second file, which are two different files. So it's like a second or third layer security that you're having on that side. I mean, if someone had your USB and had your password, maybe you're in trouble. But what Mexico is doing is try to keep up the pace with what's going on in the world and making sure that they're dealing with the person that they say they're dealing, you know? Mexico is all about insurance. It's all about making sure this is what is happening. And mostly the Mexican government is always trying to protect the user, like the IPAF thing, like why I need to make the signature, because if not, the government can say, you know, it's not the same person that signed here. So mostly is for customer protection. Whatever you're asked to do it twice. If you need to go to the branch to sign physically because we cannot accept a call that you want to send $100,000 to the States to an account, then these things are mostly to protect than to give you a hard time, you know?
Yeah, and there are a lot of regulations. Like, it is very important to open your bank account at a branch that is convenient to you, because a lot of things are tied back to that original branch where you opened your account. So
not with us, but yes, that normally happens with commercial banks.
Yes, I've noticed that with Banorte. I've tried to go to a different branch to like get a new ATM card because I lost mine. And they're like, no, you got to go back to the original branch. So just so you know, make your choice in a smart way. So Shell in Puerto Vallarta opened an account with Actinver. Very good. And we have a question here from Cameron. Safety deposit boxes. Do those exist in Mexico?
I don't know if there's some banks that still have them. I remember back in 2006, 2007, my grandma having some with jewelry and some stuff, and she got called by the bank saying, we're closing this system. And this one was one of the biggest banks in Mexico. We do not have it right now. Maybe the very, very wealthy have access to some safe deposit box, but as a regular basis, you won't get that service. I mean, it's square meters being used by a bank, and I don't think they use right now square meters to put jewelry, or maybe there's someone that does gold coins or silver coins or something like that, but it's not normal. Maybe Mexico City, Monterrey, Guadalajara, main cities.
Yeah. Okay. And I am going to go through here, try to pick up as many questions as possible. I can't get to all of them. There's a bunch coming in. But this is a good one. Can you open a joint bank account in Mexico?
Yes. And it's very interesting because you can open a joint bank account in Mexico. Let's put an example. You and your spouse or you and your wife, you want to open an account, but you say, I don't want my wife to carry any tax on this account. So you can be an account holder and have the whole tax percentage charged to only one of the account holders, not both, because they're helping you with the money. Why is this? Why do we advise to do this? Let's say you're in Mexico, something happens to you, you're in the hospital, you need to access the money. Okay. So we cannot give the money to your wife, to your kids, to no one else, because unless they have a death certificate that you're dead and they're beneficiaries. But on the other hand, there's no access to the money, and it has happened before. And I have seen kids, people, Bernardo, man, there's no way we can access the money. So it's always advisable that you have one account that is both, and you keep some money in there in case there's an emergency that one of you cannot go to the branch and do something, or cannot go to take the money out or access it. Yeah. So that's a good advice.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So we've got hello from Columbus, Ohio. If they don't accept American credit cards, don't go there. There's a lot of red tape at Mexican banks. Fidelity, Schwab, other American companies specialize in other countries. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the majority of places that I go that I like don't accept credit cards at all. They don't accept bank transfers. They accept cash. Mexico is a very cash-based society. So it depends. I'm guessing areas like Cabo, where Bernardo is living, are probably more accepting of credit cards than a place like La Paz or Morelia, where things are more cash-based. And back to that bank transfer thing, this is something like, you go to a secondhand store and they've got their bank transfer account there. If you want to buy a table or something like that at a secondhand store, you can just go into your app. And this is something where this seems to be much more advanced than the United States when it comes to banking apps, is that you just, you just type in their account number and boom, it's kind of like Zelle. I guess Zelle has come around in the last couple of years in the United States for sending money, easy transfers between banks. But Mexico's been doing this for a long time. A lot of other countries have been doing it too. I don't know if Canada has been doing it. So
also with the numbers of the debit card, I mean, last week I saw a girl selling some cinnamon rolls on the street because she was in a school project or something. I didn't have cash. I was craving for the cinnamon rolls. And can I pay you through a transfer? So, yeah, of course, you have my card. 2 minutes, she confirmed in her phone, she received it, and I had the cinnamon roll, so that's great. You don't need to carry the cash a lot of times.
Yeah, it is amazing. And often you'll get like a picture in WhatsApp of their actual credit card. And It just seems, to someone from the United States, it just seems so wrong that someone would be sending you a picture of their credit card, because we're so like protective of that. But that's just the way you send money down here. And of course you don't get the little security code and the date. So Let's see here. So I'm just going down here. So Cindy said here, so you'll need a digital permanent residency, never has to be renewed. It is valid for life. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I see here, okay, there's a question here about renewing permanent residency. I did not know there was anything about renewing permanent residency. So yeah.
I'll do my research on that, Sean. And if you text us or send us a message on the video and we can have your contact information, I can study on that and consult a few lawyers and people that I know here and get that sorted out.
Yeah, I'm just going to put my, I'm going to put my contact information in the, at GenMex, Brighton at genmex.com is my email address. If you guys have anything that you want to send me that's they're not necessarily right for the comment section. So that's now in the comment section. Let's see here. So, okay, so here's something I haven't read completely, but if I deposited 2 million pays with the high yield account with Actinver, what is the way to have a monthly return to count on as income? Specifically, what would be a normal monthly percentage return? So that sounds like banking speak to me.
Yes. Well, normally, Ray, right now, I mean, we have different strategies. We have a fund that pays a monthly rent. It works like a bond, and it has been paying, yes, the past 2 years above 10%. And it also has paid an equity around 2-3% more, 3 years. So you're making around almost 1% a month if you're in fixed income. That's what you say, you know. You could be also be deposited in CDs and have a rent every 28 days and renew the investment, cut the interest and have a deposit in your bank account to use it. But it's roughly 0.9, 0.80 something percent monthly. So it's up to 7 to 10% yearly. Mexican rates are still going down. They're in a downtrend as most of the world after the pandemic. We were around almost 12% almost 2 years ago when we started talking Brighton. Right now, the Mexican reference rate is at 7.7%. It has gone lower. Although the inflation is controlled with under 4%, for us, 4% is a great deal. But still, the rates, they still have some room to go down in the future. We might end up with a 6.5 rate. It's still very decent for an investment, but they tend to go down. So at this moment, it's around 7 in a daily, 9.5 in a 24 hours investment, almost 10. That's the answer.
Okay, thank you for that. So I just got to pop this up here. Jack Baldwin says, best channel on Mexico. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jack. Here we've got Claire. Do I need a Mexican phone before I can open a bank account? Also, utility bill in my name. So I'll let you answer this one first, and then I'll maybe add my 2 cents after.
You don't need a Mexican phone number to open a bank account with us, and you can present a utility bill from a place you rent, you know, and make a statement that you rent the place and from this point to this time. Or you can also use your utility bill from your country of origin and prove your address wherever you come from. Doesn't need to be Mexico.
And as I understand, with Actinver and with some banks, you can open an account as a tourist. You don't have to be a temporary or permanent resident or a citizen. So some banks allow that, but you do need to be in person. So
yes, the regulation says that we need to prove your legal stance in Mexico. You know, I mean, we need to prove that you're legal in Mexico, whether if it's a tourist, a resident, permanent, temporary, whatever. So let's say we start talking of you being interested in opening a bank account and you're still in California, you're still in the States. I cannot go through. I mean, I can get the documentation, we can start talking, but until you come down and you sign here in Mexico and I prove your legal stance in Mexico, then we can start the banking relationship. Up to now, there are some Mexican banks that already offer online opening, but I'm not aware that is already available for foreigners yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So, in my opinion, with Banorte at least, I didn't have this experience with Actinver. Well, I wouldn't have known, but with Banorte, I needed a Mexican phone number because I needed to be able to receive texts from the system. So the system would send me text to confirm that I'd changed my PIN number on the ATM machine or something like that. And it couldn't send international text. So we tried setting it up with an international number. And then I quickly realized, I'm like, whoa, okay, I need to go. This was when I'd first come to Mexico. And I was like, okay, well, I need, to get my residency completed. I need to open a bank account. I need to get a cell phone. I need to get my utility bills changed into my name. I need to do all these things. I just did them a little bit in the wrong order. So I think having a Mexican phone number can be really helpful at getting those messages from your bank. So depending on the bank, yes or no. So, okay. So how about the intercam issues? I don't want to put you on the spot here because I know we shouldn't be talking about specific banks as a regulation. Yeah, maybe if you can say something, this was maybe talk about banks in general.
Yes. No, I mean, I wouldn't know if it's safe or not safe because I'm not really familiar with the brand or what's going on. What I read about them, it's a good brand and they're doing some things very good, more on the entrepreneurial side, like company or how do you call corporate banking than personal banking. But up to that, that's all that I know right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see here. So how much do you recommend investing monthly in your company on a fixed income like a disabled veteran? I'm not sure if that's something you can, I think that's probably based on what you can afford more than anything.
Well, it all depends on how much you want to make. I mean, let's say, I don't know, you want to make $100,000 a year, then you can invest $1 million. We just come up with a number. Normally, a lot of people, what comes to, they say, Bernardo, I want to take care of my expenses in Mexico with my returns in Mexico. So how much would that account? We do a plan, we do different accounts, maybe some stock market to have a better yield, some fixed income. We cover the half with the fixed income. They also have the retirement check, and we do a little bit of future with the stock market. So that's kind of how we do things. Everybody's different. It's not one size fits all, but we start with that. How much would you like to make? And then we go for that. Of course, there's always, well, I just want to put this and you're going to make this. Of course, you can start with whatever you like. It's a different country. It's not an easy decision to bring money. I understand. But once you start feeling confidence with whatever other thing or like eating tacos on the street or like going to a doctor in Mexico, it's you start trusting and getting the results and being confident,
That is a great point. Yeah, I think I started with a small investment in Actinver and quickly got very comfortable with Diana, my account rep. And, she sends me messages and says, oh, yeah, well, things are changing a little bit. So you might want to change the way you're managing your money. So all very good. So Jeff Booth, I just met Jeff on Sunday, I think it was. So Jeff, I was talking about you today. I'll send you an email. He's here in La Paz, living in an RV. How much did you say CDs pay for a year term? If you know this offhand.
I don't have the exact rate right now. It's around 7.10 or 7.2. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
We quote every time as the rate changes.
So okay, cool. Yeah, things are constantly changing, I'm sure. And if you have an account, you can talk to your account manager, or you can probably talk to an account manager even without an account to see if you want to open that. Love your channel. You saved me from moving to another place in Jalisco. Your on the ground video that was completely honest. So I'm wondering where in Jalisco did I have a video that kind of shared, maybe it was Ajijic, and it was maybe a little bit too gringified. So I will be heading to Ajijic, by the way.
It is the biggest expat community in Mexico and the oldest. That's where I think most of expats started in Mexico.
Yes, definitely. It's been around for a long time. So Banamex requires a Mexican cell phone number. So I think a lot of banks probably do require that. So Chris, I needed to use my Mexican SIM card to get the text to set up the Actinver app. So there was an English option at Actinver. That's one thing that I have found is that getting English options is uncommon. So with Banorte, if I call tech support, I don't think there's an English option. I think maybe with Telmex there is, but really, I mean, we're in a country where Spanish is the official language. Expect Spanish.
And normally, if you will tell your advisor you need English attention, we will put your client number and we will have someone call you from corporate instead of you waiting on the phone for the call. That's kind of how we handle.
That's great.
support.
Great. So how much is their annual fee for this service? So this is good, actually. You mentioned the advisor, because you can invest a smaller amount in Actinver without an advisor. But yeah, what is the fee and what is the minimum?
It goes from 1,500 pesos up to 2,000 pesos, depending on the size of the account and what amount of work is being involved in managing your account.
And what is the minimum investment then? Do you know that offhand?
Well, if you want an advisor to take care of you directly, you need to keep at least 100,000 pesos in the account. It's not that you cannot manage yourself or have your account active if you have less, but when you have less than 100,000 pesos, the account gets like pulled to call center, and you need to operate yourself on the phone or call the call center to get operated. Okay, so what we lose is control, and we lose operational on the account. So it's not the same service that if Bernardo, Diana, Abraham, or someone else is taking care of you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's a question. Is it easy to move? It's easy to move large amounts of money to Mexico, but is it easy to move the money back to Canada if needed? So that's a good question. I use Wise to move money. I know I can move money directly to Actinver from the US, but I've never tried to move money back. So thoughts on that?
Yes, it's very easy. Look, all banks in all of the world, they want to keep your money. They don't want the money to go out, okay? So at some point, or some banks might give you a hard time if you want to pull out the money, but it's my politics too. If you need the money, just, send it, put it there. You have the confidence to bring the money, so you should have the confidence that you can take out the money. Sometimes there are some liquidity issues. If there's no liquidity, there's no way you can take your money out. Let's say you invested for a year in a CD. There's no human power that can give you that amount. You can get a loan against your investment and you can get liquidity, but there are some investments that cannot be liquidated right away. But you need to be told before you make the investment, okay?
Yes, I've noticed with Diana, she's been really good at kind of explaining to me, like, yeah, I can give you a little bit more percentage-wise if you're willing to commit to 28 days or something like that.
Yes.
So she's been very good at that. Let's see here.
And just to go back to that question, most foreigners in Mexico or people from other countries in Mexico, when they open an account, I say, your account information, Canada, the States, Germany, wherever you come from. And they say, no, I will never send money from Mexico to there. So I have seen it. It's very difficult because we need a signed physical signature. So always put up your account, link your account from the States to your account in Mexico. So whenever you need money being sent to origin country, it can be sent, because you might have made a lot of money here and you want to send some over there, or you might have an emergency back home and you need the money to be sent from Mexico to your country of origin, and we want to do that right away. We don't want to send you a paper, then receive through DHL or FedEx, then have you a video conference to confirm all these things that are being done to protect the user, not to keep your money. So try to put your information of your foreign account at the beginning of your banking relationship.
That is great. Great to know. Yeah, it looks like we're running. I might have missed some questions. Sorry to miss them. So actually, here we go. We've got a question coming in right before we wrap up here. So can you control your investment in person in Mexico, especially looking for long-term investment in 10 to 20 years, like an IRA? So I would think you can control your investments however you'd like, but maybe you can tell folks about that.
Yes, no, Actinver will also have a platform that is called Bursanet, and all our investment funds are available there. And you can invest in all stocks in the market, and you can manage your own investments in the app. It's still in the traditional app. If you have an advisor, you can also manage your investments in the app. And let's say you have the daily liquidity fund, the 24-hour liquidity fund, and you can also manage them yourself. But yes, you can do. And for those that are being also inscripted in the Mexican tax system and getting an RFC and presenting a tax bill every year, in Mexico, there's the analog, I think, for the 401ks, which is the retirement plan that you can deduct up to almost 200,000 pesos a year and put in a retirement plan for you. But you need to have an RFC and you need to pay taxes in Mexico. So I know some of you are getting involved in all that, so you could also be deducting about that in an investment plan.
Okay, so I think that is a whole nother topic of conversation is talking about retirement accounts and whatnot. I don't think my channel does have a lot of people who are retired, a lot of people who are not yet retired, but I'm not sure how many people are investing towards retirement in Mexico. So let's work on our little wrap up here. So yeah, there will be a link down below in the description once this video is processed and whatnot. So if you want to open an account with Actinver, Bernardo's promised me plenty of margaritas. If we get some folks signing up, so there'll be a link down below. If you use that, that would be wonderful for me. Thank you. Supports the channel. But otherwise, Bernardo, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up tonight?
Well, I would like to invite you to keep your records in Mexico. It's important. That's what we talked about at the beginning. Just to make a little wrap up, if your bank fails at some point, the IPAB, which is the insured section of the 3.4 million pesos, should take around 60 days to get your refund. And if you had more money than that and the bank had some assets that been sold, then the IPAB will probably make you up for some more, okay? But if your money is invested, they're insured by the Indeval, which is the custody of that. So Mexican investments are not in the balance sheets of the Mexican banks. They're deposited in a trust depository and they're safe, they're at your name. And well, salute to everyone.
Salute, we're both empty. So it looks like it's time to,
Yes.
to wrap up. So thank you all very much for joining us tonight. Be back in about a month on a Wednesday night, same thing. Bernardo's going to be back with us and we're going to be talking about diversification. I've got some other videos coming up, working on a video about dying in Mexico. So that might be another topic about banking if you die, like what happens with those records, keeping those account records and whatnot, because I'm sure that's a little bit of cleaning up after a death is probably a lot of record keeping. So, so great. Let's see, we've got lots of folks saying thank you. So thanks, salud, hasta luego.
Gracias.
Gracias, Bernardo, for being here. Gracias to everyone for watching. And feel free to keep adding comments down below. I'll see if I can get Bernardo some of those questions if they continue on. I'll see if I can get him to answer a few of those for the next few days or so. And
I will.
Perfect. So thank you. And from here in La Paz, from Bernardo over in San Jose del Cabo, hasta luego, and we'll see you soon.